Good evening. Appreciate everybody that's tuning in tonight. Again, my name is Coach AJ Arnold Alston. I'm so thankful for everybody that's going to decide to take time out of their schedule and watch this, because I believe it's going to be a tremendous benefit to you. Tonight, I'm going to deal with the process of looking at victimhood versus being the hero in your own story. And that's important because as you go through this healing journey, at some point or another, you were a victim. You were someone that went through a lot of different circumstances based upon outside things that took place. Based upon some of it was, of course, based upon some of the decisions that were made. But also, with that being said, at some point through your journey, one of the things that I try to share with individuals that is part of my program is you have to take on the mannerism of being the hero in your own story. To no longer be willing to accept being a victim, to no longer be willing to accept that you are defeated and someone else has a better opportunity than you. And I don't think my microphone is on. No, it's not. But so either way, appreciate you being in here. Thank each and every one of you for taking time out of your schedule. Again, so when you look at victimhood is something that it's something that's prevalent within our society right now, because many individuals don't want to actually look at themselves. There are circumstances, and this is partially why I wanted to discuss this topic, because there are individuals that are in and have been in situations where they were in fact the victim. You know, when you read the stories in the news about, you know, young people being taken from their houses and taken off into other places, and people make them live there and work for them and do all these different things. Those people were victims because they were in circumstances outside of their control, things that they had no control over. What happened as far as where they ended up, or how, you know, them getting captured, and then the different experiences like that. When you hear those stories, those people are truly victims, because part of the definition, there's a couple of different definitions that came up, but the second one, it actually applies a lot more than the first one, but I'm going to give you both of them a little bit in detail. But the first one deals with the fact that a victim is someone that has been in challenges that were beyond their control. So these environments or these experiences that these individuals go through, many times were outside of their control. So if you look at the things that went on in the political arena, where people are saying that certain kids were made to go to these islands and do certain things, those were things that were outside of those people's control, many of them. And so because they were so young, they didn't really have the wisdom maybe to understand, you know. So these have been challenges that were beyond their control, and the pressure was from someone else. So a lot of the pressure that when someone is truly a victim isn't coming from you, it's coming from another source, it's coming from another person. A person that's in a position of power and authority. So part of being a victim represents that someone else has power and authority over your life, or they have some type of control that they can control your life based upon something they say, something they do, an action that they take, which is going to bring hardship to you, or suffering, or some type of pain to you and to your life. And the second one deals with a person or entity that suffers direct or threatened physical, psychological, or financial harm as a result of a crime, accident, or other adverse circumstances. So there's other people and other circumstances outside of us that can cause us to suffer, that can cause us to be a victim. But the point that I'm trying to make today is so many times the mannerism of being a victim is taken, is gravitated to, it's held on to, based upon people wanting to find an identity, wanting to find other people to understand their plight and their experience, and that's okay, that's fine. But the point I'm trying to say is, as you're going through healing, there should come a point where, yes, maybe you were a victim at some point through that experience, but at some point there's got to be some kind of switch, some kind of turn, some switch that's got to go on in your mind, that's got to get you out of that victimhood, where you're no longer looking at why everything happened to you and why everything is so bad and how I can't get beyond this and so on and so forth. Because as long as you're in that free frame and that mindset and that thought process, you're not going to be in the position where you can actually change your circumstance. Because in order to change your circumstance, and I said this in yesterday's live, twice. I said it twice. I said, You got to look at where your thoughts are, the way that you think, because the way that you think represents what you actually believe. So you're thinking, your heart, you got to deal with your heart, because you got to look at where you are emotionally, because what you're feeling is showing you what you're thinking. What you feel in your heart, your thoughts are showing you what you're feeling. And so because of that, you're going to speak according to what you think and what you feel. What you think, what you feel, you're going to speak. You're going to allow that to be a living testament or a living word to come out of your mouth to proclaim whatever it is you're trying to do, or whatever it is, or whatever experience that you've experienced. That's reality to you that you're perpetuating by talking about it, by looking at it, by feeling it, by continuing to talk about it, by continuing to feel it, continuing to think about it. By doing this, you're continually staying in the loop. And I talk about the loop all the time because it's a cycle that can be broken. This is why I talk about it. Part of healing is learning from the past and no longer allowing the past to be a constant source of pain, a constant thing where you can't put your hand on this certain thing because you're afraid that something might happen, that you might get burnt. Appreciate anybody that's in here. And I thank each and every one of you for tuning in. And so tonight, like I said, I'm going to talk a little bit about victimhood, because many people that are victims today aren't actually victims. Because it's one thing to make a decision when you're or to be a child and for circumstances to happen outside of your control. Yes, you're a victim then. You're definitely a victim then. If you grew up in a household where you had parents that were just diabolical and just they didn't take care of you, and some of the stories that I hear by being a coach, it's just so unfair that these people were raised in these households with these parents. These people should have never had kids. And that's generally how I feel about it. I mean, if you're going to punish your kid to the point where you're going to make them sleep outside all night because they came home late, I mean, what does that say about you as a person? What does that say about you as a supposed parent? What does that say about your mindset and your thoughts? I mean, what level of there's just some. Another one, a person had a father that would, and that was that person's mother. A person had a father that would take them over like bridges and things like that and act like he was going to run the truck off of the bridge. That's chaos that a child is born into, which because of their age, because of them not having the financial means or whatever to move out of those circumstances, they are a victim at that point. They are a victim, definitely a victim. Because that's an experience, or that's a point where they couldn't do anything about that. And the experience, the individual that would go over the bridges, and the person that would try to, the father that would try to act like he's going to pull them off over the bridge, and the chaotic things that he would do, they were truly victims because they were children. They were young. There's a difference between a victim and being a child, and then all of a sudden when you're grown, all of a sudden putting yourself in a position or classifying yourself as a victim, because you're not. Many times I would say that we aren't actually victims. We just don't know that we're not, or the power that we have where we can change our circumstance, because our circumstances is going to be changed based upon, what I just said a few minutes ago. Your thought process, your emotion, your speaking, your believing. Whatever you believe is going to be in your mind. Again, whatever you feel is going to be in your heart. And whatever's in your heart and in your thoughts is going to come out of your mouth. And you're going to speak that thing. But just because you speak something, just because you say something, that does not mean that it's true. It does not mean that it's right. Because a lot of times we can feel something, but just because you feel something don't mean that it's right. This is the reality of us as human beings. There's times when we're right and there's times when we're wrong. When I see people that are posting and they're always the constant victim, and their victimhood is based upon dating, and they're always blaming everybody else about, I ran into another person like this again, and that's not anybody else's fault. Because first of all, when you look at dating, you don't have to date. Dating is a choice. Just like when I got up this morning, I made the decision of whether I was going to go to the gym or not. That was a choice. I made a decision where, should I take a shower before I go to the gym or take a shower after the gym? Again, a choice, because as an adult, we make choices. I made a decision before I went to the gym. Should I eat something before I go, or should I just grab a smoothie and grab some protein? Again, a choice that you can make as an adult, as a young adult or as an adult. And so your experiences, when you come from a place of empowerment, this is part of why I'm talking about this. When you're going through healing, you're going to go through a very fragile period where you are going to be the victim. But at some point, you have to move past being the victim and start moving into a place of being empowered to understand that you don't have to stay in the condition that you're in. You no longer have to be reliant on someone else be giving you approval or saying something to you to edify you or to encourage you. You don't need somebody else to do something for you that you've been empowered to do yourself. So again, I made the decision to go to the gym. I made the decision to eat versus not eat. I made the decision to take the protein or do whatever else I did. I made the decision when I first woke up. I'm grateful that I woke. I woke up, and the first thing, meditation and prayer and breath work. That was a decision. I made that decision. I made the decision to marry the person that I was married to. I made the decision to date the two people I dated after my divorce. So was that their fault, or or do I have to actually take some accountability for being a grown adult and making some decisions? This is all I'm saying. This isn't pointing the finger or making someone feel bad. This is about understanding that all of us are grown enough to make decisions. Because with most of us, if someone is telling us to do something because of how the grown age we are, we're not going to listen to what somebody else is telling us what to do. We're going to do whatever we want to do, and we're going to tell them that. Or especially, I'll say we're going to tell them that from Jersey and New York. We're going to tell them that. And we ain't going to tell you in a nice way. We're going to tell you based upon the mindset and the mentality, whether we want to do it or we don't want to do it. So this is part of where, when you look at a victim is someone that actually has been in a circumstance where it was outside of their control. It was something that they didn't have any power of determining the outcome, or when that young lady was taken from her family and kept away in some other distant place by this weirdo, this guy or whatever. And he kidnapped her, and she wasn't with her family for years. And this girl grew up in this person's basement or whatever. That she was a victim. That was something that she had no control of. She had no control of. She had no control of if this person was going to take her, unalive her or not. She had no control of what she was going to eat daily and what her life was going to look like daily, because someone else that had power over her, that had exercised power over her, was dictating her life. So when I say victimhood, the part that I find repulsive is I don't want anybody else having power over my life. I refuse to have other people that have power over my life. That's why partially I try to warn people, especially men out here, when you're dating, you got to be careful which women that you're dating, because some people that you date, they use certain things to try to get you in a position where they have power over you based upon their practices, their spiritual practices. They want to have power over you. They don't care about loving you. They want to control you, that they can get you and use you basically as a slave. They use you to work half to death and give them money and do things for them, but they don't see the how evil that is, because you're taking on, to me, it's a person that's taking on the mannerism of thinking that they are a deity, that they are God Almighty. And how oppressive is that? That's extremely oppressive. Oh my God, that video, that's my storage is full. That's extremely oppressive to do that to another person. I'm gonna have to get some storage. Wow, 99% storage. That's extremely oppressive. To do something like that to a person instead of allowing a person to have free will. It sounds outrageous, but it's true. It's very, very true. I wrote about it. This is why some people often they have this mindset that, oh, well, you're this person's stupid for staying in that marriage for a long time. Sometimes people are in these relationships or in these experiences because they're under somebody's potions and magic, and they're putting things in their food and they're doing all these different things. And the person never knows it because they love the other person. They're thinking that I love this person, and they're not thinking in terms of this person would do something to me, because that's not their mindset. But not every person is the same. That person is a victim that went through an experience like that. If you were in a marriage or a relationship and someone cheated on you, the victim part is the process of you trusting that person and then that person betraying you. You were a victim at that point. But after everything is said and done, There's got to be a process where you no longer desire to be a victim, but you desire to be the type of person that's going to take back control of your life. You're going to take back control. You're not going to sit around and allow the circumstances of the past to dictate how you're going to live your future. And so when you're free from it because of the way you interact with your relationships after that point. It works on everybody. It works to an extent. And it works. That's why you have to be, like you're saying, you have to be a spiritual person. It works. But you got to be tapped in and tuned in without making a lot of excuses. But the thing with all of this is I'm trying to share with people ways where they can stop making a lot of the excuses about things that's going on in their life. To start coming from a place of empowerment, a place of true strength and power. Where we're not waiting for somebody else to do something for us, but we're understanding the power that's within us based upon the way that we think, the way that we're speaking, and our hearts. That's why some of the things that I suggest that people do, and I made a video about it earlier, is that, this is why your breath work and the things that you do in the morning is so, so, so important. Because what it does is it allows you to operate in a different it allows you to operate in a higher realm where your mind is no longer bogged down with all of the confusion, but you have a clearer mind. And because of that clearer mind, you can see things that maybe necessarily you would not have seen. And so because you're seeing these things, you're going to be more aware of what you could do or what you should do. One of the worst questions that you can ask yourself when you're in a difficulty is, why is this happening to me? When we ask ourselves why this is happening to me, it often leads to many of us going to a place of sadness, depression, things along those lines, because it doesn't give us a solution. Pity party. It doesn't give us a solution. But when you can flip that script, and this is why I talked about clearing your mind and getting to a different space, when you can flip that script, you're going to find an easier way, in a more effective way, when you ask the question, what is the easiest and most effective way for me to do ABC? Not saying that nothing's not, you stop saying that nothing's working out for you, and you start saying that what is the easiest and most effective way that I can do whatever it is you're trying to do. If you're looking to meet someone, what is the easiest and most effective way that I can naturally just run into the person that I'm supposed to meet, that is supposed to be in my life? Instead of saying, there's no good people out here, and everybody's doing this, and everybody's cheating, and everybody. What harvest do you want? This is the question that I often ask people. What harvest do you want? To actually believe in the gender wars, you're setting yourself up to never find a person of the opposite sex. The people that started that are they're just crazy, I don't. I do understand, because they wanted to target in on one audience, but the point is, there's so many. You can't paint with such a broad stroke and don't think that you're going to miss, or you're not going to be able to. You're going to paint over people that it doesn't apply to, because not every person's the same. Not every person's the same. Not every person in the same race is the same. Not every kid in your household is the same if you have more than one child. Everybody's something. Everybody's different. Yeah, you can't save them all. Mir, hey, how you doing, Mears? Good to see you. Yeah, you can't save them all. You can't save them all. No. So that's it. That's all. I wanted to get on here for a few minutes and share a couple ideas. I've been trying to get on here once a day, every day, for at least around 7 p.m. just to share a couple ideas. I appreciate y'all being in here, or you being in here. I don't see anybody else in here, but yeah. So you have a question? Good. Okay. Well, I got time. What's up? What's your question, Mirrors? Mirrors and memories. Hold on. Hold on. Give me 1 second. I'll be right here. Hold on. That's a good question. So let's start with what is the problem? What is the problem? Financial, relationship. What is the problem? What is the area of the problem? Oh, me personally, because I can't take on part of me being a coach. You know, I'm not taking on their problem. I'm helping them navigate through their problem. It's not necessarily my problem, but my job is to help them to manage through their problem. And so part of it is my spiritual practices also, because, you know, you have to be careful when you're dealing with hearing a lot of things that people are saying. And yes, and this is why part of what I do in the morning when I first wake up is I do breathing techniques or breath work. I do that for a while. I do 15 minutes some days. I do 30 minutes other days, because I have these two different techniques that I use. So I do that in the morning. I do breath work first thing in the morning when I wake up, because you're talking about how to not take on, but this applies to your problems also. Because when you do breath work, I want you to Google breath work when you get off this live tonight. Google benefits of breath work, and there's a whole list of them, health benefits and so on and so forth, and it just goes on and on and on. It helps you mentally, it helps you physically, it helps you spiritually, it helps you emotional. You know, people that are going through depression and anxiety, it helps you with all of these different things. So that's the first thing I do when I sit up in my bed. When my alarm clock goes off 6 o'clock in the morning, I sit up in that bed and I do this technique for 15, 20 minutes. Then the next thing I do is I generally, because of the breath work, it takes your mind into a higher elevation. It's easy to go right into meditation. And so meditation is simple because of where your mindset is. So those that have a challenge with trying to understand or trying to say that, oh, I can't meditate. Yes, you can. You just haven't had the right person to teach you how to get through your steps to get to that stage of meditation. You just haven't met the right person to help you get there. That's all. So it's not that you can't, you just haven't met the right person. And I'm the right person. I can get you there. I can teach you how to get there and how you can start using your mindset to start shifting and changing your thoughts, which in turn can change and shift your expectations. And once your expectations shift and change, then your experiences are going to shift and change. Our experiences are a direct connection to our beliefs. Our beliefs are based upon our thoughts and our emotions. So there's got to be a shifting in rate and a raising of our frequency above the problems. This doesn't mean that you don't believe that the problem doesn't exist. But the thing is, what are we going to focus on, the problem or the solution? This is why I said a few minutes ago, you have to ask different questions. You have to stop asking, why is this? Why do I have financial? Why do I have this? And why isn't this working? And why all those questions are not questions to bring life to you and to help you get to the next level. Those are all questions to keep you stuck in this process of not getting out of what you're in, because your tunnel vision is on the problem instead of the solution. And so the first thing that you have to ask yourself is, do I want the problem or do I want the solution? And so easiest way to do it is write down what is the problem. That's why I said the first thing is look at what is the problem. Is it financial? Is it relationship? Is it, health? What is the problem? Okay, now what is the solution? Is the solution sitting here dwelling on the problem, or is the solution asking what is the easiest and simplest way for me to learn how to get through this, or learn how to move past this, or something along those lines? Because you have to ask a question. Because of the way that your mind was created from birth and from the beginning, you have a special mind. Your mind is special, and portions of your mind have been designated to answer your most difficult questions. That's why you have to ask your mind your subconscious questions, especially when you're going off to sleep, or if you're going to ready to take a nap, if you're asking yourself certain questions, your mind is going to go and search out and find out the information or the answer to that question. You are an unlimited source of solutions to problems when you learn how to use your mind. Our mind is our greatest asset, along with our hearts. This is why you have to protect your heart, because you need your heart for the emotional element of your to combine with your thinking. When we combine our heart, the emotion of our heart, with our thinking, then you start manifesting the things that you want to take place in your life. Because in order for something to take place and to come into existence in your life, you have to see it spiritually first. This is why you have to see it in your spiritual eyes, not with these 3D eyes, but you have to see it. When you're in a state of meditation, if you're in the right state and you're focusing on your first eye, you're going to see certain things that are going to take place in your life before they take place. Because you're raising your frequency, you're raising your vibration. You're not expecting to meet the same people when you're dating no longer, because you're not no longer filling up your mind with the nonsense that other people are saying about, oh, I just meet the same people every time I date, and there's no good people, and all men are this, and all women are. You're no longer listening to all the garbage and the nonsense that these people are promoting to you and trying to make you believe that it's not true. It's true for them. But again, just because it's true for them, that does not mean it's the truth. That does not mean it's the truth, guys. I'm telling you. That's the truth for them. That's what they believe. And because they believe it, they're going to experience it in their 3D reality. I don't want to experience what they experience. I want to experience what I want. I want to experience the things that I want in my life, based upon my expectations, based upon what I believe. And so your life changes when you start really shifting the thought process. You start really changing your mindset. I mean, this has got to be a habit. Nah, see, that's what you believe, but I don't believe that. I don't believe that. I believe that even though you say that you have ADHD, I believe that if I meditated or taught you the way that I meditate, you wouldn't have no problems meditating. None whatsoever. None whatsoever. And you get the benefit out of it, because because your mind drifts off into many different directions and you don't stay focused on one, that's fine. Part of what you would have to do is just learn how to accept whatever your mind is bringing to you. And what you would learn through meditation is how to galvanize and compartmentalize your thoughts and move stuff out of the way that's no longer there. Because the easiest way to build up your mind is through meditation. It's almost like you're taking weights and you're lifting. Yeah, that's fine. Mirrors, you're not talking about anything that most people that when we first started didn't do the same thing. I did the same thing. I would think about my day, what happened throughout my day. I would think about, what I was going to eat for dinner, what I wanted to eat for breakfast, especially if I was doing it in the morning. What I was going to do at the gym. And of course, you think about all those things. But if you do that breath work and someone teaches you how to do correct breath work, you're going to be so high, so not high like a intoxication, but you're going to be on such a higher frequency that it's going to be easy for you to go right into meditation. You won't be thinking about all the stuff that you're thinking about. I'm telling you. Just telling you. That's why this is the way I teach it for people, for my clients. Yeah. So I can relate to that. Appreciate y'all being in here. Thank each and every one of you that's in here. Thank you for the taps, the likes, the shares. Thank you for yeah. Thank you for the taps, the likes, the shares. Thank you for yeah. Mirrors, what state are you in? What state are you in? You're in the USA, right? What state are you in, Mirrors? Oh, you're another Florida person. Okay, yeah. It's something that Lataya, it's something that when you look at the benefits of it, you Google the benefits. It's something that every single person needs, especially if you want to actually move your life to the place that you need. I spend some time. Man, my knuckles look. Man, I gotta stop hitting that bag with these. These things look brutal. These things look crazy. Look at these knuckles. But what I do. Well, I'm not gonna talk about that. But The benefits are health, your mindset. It clears up a lot of the confusion. You have a clearer mindset. You'll be healthier because a lot of the sicknesses that people have are directly connected, directly correlated to stress. It clears out all of the depression and all of the anxiety and all those things. Because when you can learn to do breath work and then go right into a meditation or a prayer, because when you first started, you're going to do the breath work and then you'll go into a meditation maybe or a prayer, and because you will be in such an elevated state. But if you're on this live right now and you went to church, part of what they were teaching you at church was to do the same thing. Well, I'll talk about that later. But part of what they were teaching you at church, if you went to church and you're a person that came from that background, they were teaching you how to raise your vibration. When they taught you to clap your hands, the best way to raise your frequency and your energy is clapping your hands. Stomp your feet and shout and raise your voice, and all those things are ways that you get yourself in a higher level of energy, a higher level of frequency. We didn't know why we were doing it when we were kids, but that's part of the reason why that you do those things. We didn't know that. When you have more than one person or numerous people that are praying at the same time and they all believe in the same thing, because of the energy of everybody in that circle, they're going to get a result. It's proven by science. Yeah, there's a biblical verse that talks about 2 or 3 gathering, but it's also proven by science. They've done the studies. They see how one mind connects to the next, next. And because of the connection and the oneness in the thought process, boom. There's powerful things that can happen when we start understanding the power of our minds and the power that's within us as people and as individuals. Collective consciousness, exactly. That's why doing things in a group is powerful. One of the most powerful experiences I had was when I went away to the healing retreat, which I was there to get to deal with my issues and to get better. I had been in this healing retreat for over 3 or 4 days. And at that point, I'd been meditating every day. We're eating really, really clean. We're eating light foods, a lot more vegetables and, some meat, but, no alcohol, no smoking, or whatever people did. None of that stuff was allowed. And, we weren't watching TV, and we were eating. We're out in nature and in New Mexico. And we're going to on hikes, and we ended up meeting a Native American tribe, and they invited us back to their place, and they showed us how they do all of the different powwows and different stuff like that to help to understand how they had gotten to where they'd gotten. It was a crazy experience. Yeah, Lataya. And so with that experience, first of all, what it did was it opened me up to other people and to stop listening to what people say about why people do certain things. Because that drum I got right there, that's an actual drum from New Mexico that the people, the Native Americans that were there, they actually make these drums. As you can see, it's made out of an actual log and actual skins. And they taught as to why they used the drums and why they marched and why they did all the things, because part of it was they needed to raise most cultures, they do this in some form or another. They know that there's something they need to do. You might see a tribe in Africa where they're all jumping up and down. Because why? They understand that how they need to raise their energy, how they need to raise their frequency, how they need to get into higher states. In order to accomplish anything that's beyond the third dimension, you need to get in higher states. You're going to get there through praising, through dancing, through singing, through music, through whatever. You got to find means of getting into higher states. Meditation, do prayer, do all of these different things, moving your body. This is why moving your body is so important. Basic things where you're moving your body, whether it's qigong, whether it's yoga, whether it's whatever. And you'll have people tell you, "Oh, that's evil, that's bad." Yeah, it's okay, whatever. Okay, I don't argue with people any longer. I refuse to argue with people, especially people that are not students. They don't study things and look at the origin of things. And then what is the purpose? What is the ration? What is the reason behind what you are doing? Do you have an evil agenda, or are you doing it for the betterment of yourself and other people? That's the question that I would have you ask. Thank y'all for the taps. Thank y'all for being in here. Yeah, Lataya, that's that verse. Yeah, so And it was through that experience that I met a lot of good people, because that was the healing retreat where I went to, where I really got a glimpse into myself. And I talk about it that when I was at that conference, that was when I first started really accepting the fact that the things and the visions that I had for my life were not going to come to pass. Like the vision of me being married to this person to the day we passed, and us building that ranch out in Colorado or somewhere, and being able to raise our own livestock and kind of getting off of the whole system and having our own solar and having a pond for our fish and hydroponic food. I mean, I had all these things that my goals and things that I was going to do. Thank y'all for the likes. Thank y'all for the taps. Thank y'all for the follows. Thank y'all for subscribing. Appreciate each and every one of you for being in here. And so all of those things that I wanted and that I aspired to do and have for my family, I saw where none of those things were going to take place. And so when you get to the place where you really, truly accept, I had gotten to the place of acceptance, a partial portal of acceptance, where I could really see a little bit in there. And I saw, well, this is not going to work. This is before I understood. This is way before I understood that I was in grief. I was grieving the loss. Because when you lose something that you love, when you lose a person, a place, or a thing that you lost or that you loved, you will grieve that person. You will grieve the loss of that vision or that thing. And so I was grieving the loss of the things that I believe spiritually. I was grieving the loss of a relationship. I was grieving the loss of a business. I had 3 or 4 things that I was grieving at the same time. So when I talk to people about getting past, hurt and pain and learning how to no longer be a victim and to be the hero in your own story, that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about no longer allowing the experiences that you went through to dictate how you're going to act and what your life is going to look like. But now you're going to come from a place of no longer being a victim of the experiences, but you're going to allow these experiences to be a springboard to show or to get to the next level, to get to the next place, to understand that that's my past. If it happened yesterday, that's my past. It has nothing to do with where I'm going today, because my vision isn't behind me. Yes, it's a reference. It's a point where I know where I came from and I learned from it. It's my experiences and so on and so forth. But where I'm going next is in front of me. I'm moving ahead. I'm moving forward. I'm not moving behind. Why would I walk forward and look backwards at the same time? That's crazy. That's chaotic. You're not going to get to your destination, and then you have to have a destination. Where are you trying to go? What is the vision that you have for your life? And so when you have a vision for your life, you will no longer accept the fact that you're a victim. And if you getting in here just now, I talked about the difference between actually being a victim or someone that's taken on the mannerism of a victim. A victim is someone where they're in a situation that is outside of their control. They have no control of the experience. This is when I went into explaining. When I got up this morning, as an adult, I made the decision of whether I wanted to work out, go to the gym, whether I was going to eat breakfast, I was going to take a shower. All those decisions, I made all those decisions. And then when I was at the gym, I had another choice that I could make, was the decision of talking to this girl that was there, and so I was dating. Even if she approached me, my point is that's still a decision that you have to be in agreement with. If I'm in agreement with the decision, is it now later on their fault that I decided to get in a relationship with them? Especially because if I'm taking my time, like I teach and I share, take your time through your experience, don't rush nothing. Wait and see if this person is who they say they are, because, sometimes people show you certain things and then later on you start seeing something else. Thank you for the taps and likes. Because if you wait them out and if they don't have the right agenda, then they're going to be gone. They'll be out. But if you're in a rush, you're going to get sucked into the whirlwind of the high of the relationship, because all of the chemicals that's being released and all of the excitement, and this person's a new person and they smell good and they look great and so on and so forth, and bada bing and bada bang and bada boom and whatever else. Instead of just waiting, doing it the right way, If you're in here and you want to be part of my part of this where I'm teaching the breath work and the different things, you're going to need to reach out to me. Because what I'll do is if there's enough of y'all, then I'll just create a small group and I'll teach it from a collective way, a collective point. The investment that you'll make in yourself will be very minimal. I don't believe in people investing a whole bunch. I believe in people getting the things that they need and then just kind of moving on if that's where they're at. And yeah, it'll be minimal because I'll be doing it from a group perspective. And but anybody that's interested in being a part of the one-on-one coaching or coaching in general, I suggest that you just take the time to invest in yourself and go get this book. This book is the book where I'm talking about my experience and how I was able to get through my own journey and how I no longer use my experience as a source of victimhood, but I use it as a point or as an experience of how I'm now the hero of my own story. You got to look at ways that you can be a hero in your own story. You can stop being a victim. You can stop allowing outside events, outside people, outside things to dictate your life and what your life is going to look like. I refuse to allow another person, another thing to dictate how my life is going. I have too much fight inside of me. I have too much arrogance, a level of arrogance and a level of fight inside of me that I refuse to have another man or anybody else dictate the way my life is going to look. Because I believe that greater is the Most High that's in me than any source or any person or anything that's around me. That's just the way I think. You might not be in that place, and I'm not judging you. I'm saying that at some point when you get an identity of who you are, you're not going to allow other people to dictate the story and what your life looks like. At some point, the story has to change. The story has to change from all men are no good and all women cheat and all men are doing this and all women are doing that. The story's got to change from that to I believe that I'm a good person and I'm grateful and I'm thankful that the good person that is a great match for me it just flows. They're flowing. That person just flows naturally in my life. We're going to meet each other just naturally. We're going to just naturally run into each other. Which experience do you want to manifest in your life? The first one or the second one? Because whatever one you want, whatever one you're saying, whatever one you're focused on is the one that's going to take place in your life. That's the one that's going to manifest in your life. You can make it whatever excuses you want. You can talk about anything else you want, but whatever experience you want, you're going to manifest it and you're going to create it based on, again, what you're thinking, what you're believing based upon your emotion, because our heart center is where the emotional part comes from, your heart. That's why they say, oh, do you promise to do this with all your heart, all your soul? Because they want you to be emotionally tied into what you're saying. They want you to be emotionally connected into what you're saying. That sounds awesome. I'm manifesting mine to be somewhere else also. And part of mine is because of I got the answer as to why I want certain things. I know why I want certain things now. I didn't know before, but I do know now. And it's not even as much for me as it is for a bigger result, a bigger project. So some things that you're going to want them, and you're not even going to know why you want them. It's just part of your life path, you know. Yep. So if what you've done up to this point hasn't gotten you the results you want, what is the thing that you need to do right now? Okay, I'm not around anyone. The anxiety. Yeah, I'm not sure what that means. Oh, I didn't understand. I do babysitting emotions anymore. Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't know anything about that, Lataya. Is that something that you're saying that you don't do, or that's something that you used to do, or? Your son's not with you? I thought your son was with you in Florida. She doesn't do babysitting. No, that's not what she's talking about. Mears. Oh, oh, oh. Hmm. Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm aware of that. Yeah. Yeah, you said that. You were everybody's counselor. Yeah. And I can relate to that. I relate to that. They usually nah, you didn't understand. You thought you understood. They usually wouldn't refer to me a lot of times until they were in jams because they wanted me to help them get out of the jam. Um, and so part of them coming to get counseling at that point was deception indirectly, because this is what the way I understood about the people around me, because their counseling was directly connected to they didn't listen, or they didn't come before they made the bad dumb decision. Then once they made the dumb decision, they knew that you were someone that was physically responsible, or you were someone that was responsible enough, and you knew how to get out of things, and you was yeah, yeah, being a fixer, people pleaser. Yeah, that's an issue. Yeah, you're a conduit of emotional immaturity. Really? Oof, man, that's got to be rough. Oof, man, if that's your gifting, that's tough, because yeah, yeah, many are fixers. Yeah, when you're trying to fix other people, um, one of the biggest keys when trying to fix other people is that they want to be fixed. Yeah, it is. It's draining. Mirrors and memories asked me a question before you got in here, Lataya, and she was asking me, how do I deal with other people's problems? You quit. What do you quit? Oh, you quit. Okay, yeah, it's draining. Yeah, and the question that she was asking me is, how do you? Yeah, so how do you deal with other people's problems? And I told her, I said, part of it is, you know, when you are giving up yourself to other people a lot, especially from an emotional place, you have to make sure that you're taking time for yourself. Because again, the main priority is that you need to be the hero in your story. So it starts with the things that you're doing, as far as your prayer, your meditation, your breath work, your whatever, grounding, whatever else you do, and whatever else you're doing, because you have to keep yourself in a healthy state, because you can't just give to people and do for other people and then you're not replenishing yourself, which is common knowledge, but it's still something that needs to be said periodically for many of us. And um and so through that, what it allows is that, yes, you can hear other people's issues and their struggles and what they're going through and their difficulties, but you can kind of take it and put it in a certain compartment where you're not taking on when we're taking on what other people have gone through and what they're doing and what they're feeling. And see, that's when it becomes the type of thing. This is just for entertainment purposes. That's when it becomes the type of thing where it can weigh us down, because now no longer am I hearing it and I'm putting it where it needs to go. I'm taking on the characteristics. And I'm not saying that y'all are doing this. I'm saying, please don't, if you're in that position, because then it becomes a weight. It becomes heavy. You'll start, because you're taking on the weight of other. We're supposed to cast all of our cares, cast all of our weight, and part of all of this is teaching people to be responsible for their own actions and for the things that they're doing and how they're carrying themselves and the decisions. When we make decisions as a mature, grown adult, it's no one else's fault. It's nobody else's fault. This whole mindset of not being accountable for our actions is I find it extremely crazy. It's ridiculous. You know? You know, are you in grief, Lataya? Are you in post traumatic stress disorder? It's a real thing. Just like the broken heart syndrome. Those are real things. I mean, so there's a type of things that, you know, through your healing process, those are things that have to be experienced and have to be actually taught about and talked about and thought about. Post traumatic stress disorder. It's a real thing. They can actually measure the degree when you person goes through a heart that is broken. I'm not saying that you are or aren't. If you're in a place where your heart is broken, they can actually measure it and see the scar tissue of the break. I'm not saying break, but like one part will be one size of your heart will be more swollen. Will be more swollen and larger than the other part based upon the break. Yeah. Yes, it's called the broken heart syndrome. That's actually that science backs it up. So this is why this whole thing it's not a game. It's very, very serious when you're in these situations. This is why I try to stress to people, you got to get help. But so many people, they feel like, oh, let me just try to do it on my own. But doing it on your own, for most people, they're not going to get themselves to the place where they can find the solutions, because you don't know what to do. You've never done it. You've never been there. How do I know that? I was in the same position. I needed help, and I'm a very smart guy, or I'll say I'm an intelligent person. I'm the type of person that I figure things out. Like I've never written a book. I'd never written a book up until the point I wrote that book, but I wrote a book. Anything I want to figure out, I figure out. I don't use excuses as to why things can't get done. So with that mindset, my mind says, oh, I should be able to figure this thing out. And I'm bumping my head against the wall and I'm not getting any results. I'm just bumping my head against the wall because I didn't know what to do. And I was doing everything that I knew, but I still wasn't getting through. I wasn't getting that result. I wasn't getting myself to that place. And so part of the reason why, or part of one of the ways you'll know that you're not at the point where you can be the hero in your story is because you're still rehearsing the story of what someone did to you. When we're still rehearsing what someone did to us, and I'm not saying that there shouldn't be a point where you're still talking about that. There should be, because part of healing is that it's not like you go from someone that has been heartbroken or hurt to heal. No, it's stages. It's gradual. It's a process. It's a gradual process. And so because it's a gradual process, when you first initially find out about certain things that have taken place, you're going to be in PTSD. You're going to be in a place of pain. You're going to have the broken heart syndrome. You're going to be all alone. You're going to be depressed. You're going to be in the stages of grief. You got to have so many different things going on at the same time. This is why I say that you need help. This is why I'm in this field, because I know that people that are in this position, they need help. Because again, I needed help. I needed help. I needed somebody to help me. And part of me being part of self-awareness is understanding that, you know, we need help. We need someone else to help us navigate through this maze that we've never been through. You know, the same thing with business. I have people all the time that are in business that are further than me. I go to them as a coach. I hire them to use and to learn from them, to learn their knowledge, and to shorten my time. Because if someone has had the track record and they're really truly open and sharing, like I'm doing now, sharing from a transparent place, you're going to go from where you are to your final finish line a lot faster. But you walking around in the dark, bumping your head over here and walking around and bumping your head there, and you're going to take something that maybe should have taken a year, and you'll be 5 years, 7 years, 10 years, and probably still won't get the same result because of not knowing, because of trying to do. And there's nothing wrong with being self-sufficient and trying to, but it's so much better to have an assist. Any person, when you're with the studies, there's too many studies out that shows the benefits of building something or doing something in a team environment versus one-on-one, or versus just one person trying to do it themselves. Just simply because sometimes they linger. What lingers? The pain or the past of that person? Oh, yeah. No, Lataya has been part of Amira's. Lataya has been part of a couple coaching sessions with me. I think like maybe 4 or 5, something like that. It was under 6. I know it was under 6, but so she knows she knows. I'll say she knows. Even though we didn't really get into the healing stuff that I normally do, we just moved in a different direction based upon what she wanted, and that's all I'll say. Yeah. There's you're talking about the videos I made for YouTube. I think it's YouTube or some other on the master manipulators and how to know them. Yeah, that stuff is important because it'll allow you not to keep falling into those traps with those people, because you'll know the signs and you'll be aware of, especially in relationships. That's the area, or those family members or people around you. Because just because people have blood, that does not, you're same blood, that does not mean that they're actually family. Because there's people that, I mean, you can look at biblical stories, you can look at old stories as far as fables or just anything in general. Just because someone has your blood don't mean that they're going to be loyal to you. They're going to love you, and they're going to think in terms of you and you be important to them, and they're not going to do anything to harm you. So. Okay. You have any questions? Thank y'all for being in here. If you're not in the comments, can you at least let me know what state you're in or where you're tuning in from, please. If you haven't left a comment, please. Thank y'all. Appreciate each and every one of y'all. Y'all have any questions? Anything else you want to discuss, or anything else you want to say? Because if not, I got three 1-hour videos I better edit. I got to get something up. I just lost my on my phone. I just got what's his name is Bill. I forget what you call it. So it shut my video down halfway through when I was recording on this other phone. So I thank y'all for being in here. I thank y'all for your comments. I thank y'all for the likes, the shares. Yeah, it's been nice chatting with you also. Yeah. I hope that what we're talking about is helping, Mirrors. I really do. I hope it's helping you. Do you follow me, Mirror, on any other channel besides YouTube? Well, I think you follow me. I don't see you. If you follow me on YouTube, I don't see you. Because I looked through like the people that follow me and I didn't see you in there. So I don't know if it's a hidden or one of those what do you call it? The private followers. I don't know. I'm not sure. But either way, do you get notifications? I try to ask people that everybody that comes in here, do you get notifications when I go live? Oh, okay, good. Okay. That's all that matters. What are you thanking me for, Lataya? What'd I do? Lataya Aaron, K5H. What did I do? I got to find a way of breaking these videos down into smaller videos. This video, again, this is another night I've been here for over an hour. See, it didn't feel like an hour to me. I don't know how long it felt to you. I'm smart. Okay. I'm smart and something good night. Okay. All right, y'all.